My fiancé and my younger sister slept together. And not only was I not angry, I even gave them my blessing. In my previous life, my sister Lily and I got married on the same day. I married a college student, while she married the richest man in our town. After graduating, the college student became a government employee, and he continued rising through the ranks until he became the top leader. As for the wealthy man Lily married, after he became the richest man in the entire country, he divorced her to marry someone else. Lily later remarried a factory worker, but right at that time, the city was experiencing mass layoffs. To support the family, the factory worker forced her to earn money on the streets, and because of that, she caught a filthy disease. When I went to visit her out of jealousy, she secretly poured pesticide into my drinking water. The next moment I opened my eyes, we had returned to the exact day of our wedding. Lily thought that in this life, as long as she changed the groom, she could change her fate, but in the end, her outcome became even more tragic than before. The sound of wedding firecrackers echoed as a crowd of people pushed into her room and froze. On the wedding bed, two naked people were lying together. After the initial shock, everyone turned to look at me, because one of those people was today's bride, my sister Lily, and the other was my fiancé, Andrew Turner. My mother was the first to react. She shouted to wake the two of them, then angrily grabbed Lily's ear and scolded her. "Lily, are you crazy? Today is your wedding day. How could you do something this shameful? Do you even know what embarrassment is?" She slapped her several times, but Lily didn't show even a hint of shame. On the contrary, she looked smug. Lily immediately knelt down and said, "Mom, please stop hitting me. Andrew and I truly love each other. I don't want to marry Cole Davenport. Please let me marry Andrew instead." I noticed Andrew's ears turn red. I knew he was already awake, but to save face he pretended to be asleep and even pulled the blanket higher when no one was looking. My mother exploded. "What are you talking about? Andrew is your sister's man. Everyone saw what you two did. No matter what, you've already slept with him. If you don't let me marry Andrew, I'll jump into the river." Lily looked like she was ready to go all the way. At that moment, someone walked in and said, "The groom is almost here. Only 2 blocks away. Tell the bride to get ready quickly." My mother nearly collapsed. Why today of all days? How am I supposed to face Cole Davenport now? Lily pointed at me. "Just let Lana marry in my place." Hearing that, I immediately understood Lily had also been reborn. Lily and I are twins. Because we were both beautiful, matchmakers started coming to our house as soon as we turned 18. To pay for our younger brother's education and eventually find him a wife, my mother married us off to 2 different families. One was the son of the village chief, Andrew Turner. The other was the wealthiest man in town, Cole Davenport. In our previous life, even though Andrew was the chief's eldest son, he was unattractive and poor. His family was even more financially strained than ours, and they had to borrow money for the bride price. That's why Lily chose Cole Davenport without hesitation. But the marriage lasted less than 2 years before ending in divorce. Later, Cole's business flourished and he became the richest man in the country, while Lily's life fell into misery. As for me, the one who married Andrew Turner, he was a college student who joined the government right after graduation. Within 5 years, he rose to the highest leadership position, and I became someone admired throughout the entire city. That's why in this life, Lily didn't hesitate to choose Andrew. Hearing Lily's words, my mother sighed, then turned to persuade me. "Lana." My mother sighed and said, "This whole mess is Lily's fault, but the Davenport family's bride price has already been used to pay your younger brother's tuition. Besides, the Davenports have influence. We can't afford to offend them." The Davenports had a terrible reputation in our town. Cole Davenport's father had once gone to prison for murder. Cole himself left school after 8th grade and started drifting around with a bunch of street punks. His mother couldn't speak and never stepped outside, and his younger sister had such a rough personality she didn't resemble a girl at all. Because of that, no matter how wealthy they were, they still had to pay an abnormally high bride price just to get a bride. At this moment, everyone's eyes were on me, because everyone knew how deeply I had loved Andrew Turner. They were all waiting to see how I would react. Unexpectedly, I didn't hesitate at all. I picked up the bridal veil and the wedding dress, then walked straight into the inner room, agreeing to marry Cole Davenport. Cole worked in the clothing trade and often traveled down south to purchase goods. He was rarely home. He married solely to have someone take care of his mother and sister, so he didn't care who the bride was. That's why when he lifted the bridal veil and saw me, he didn't seem surprised. That night, he entered the room reeking of alcohol. I tightened my hands, and before I could say a word, I saw him pull a large travel bag out of the closet. "I have to take a trip down south tonight. I'm leaving now. You can sleep alone." As he spoke, he took out 5 100 yuan bills from the bag. "This is your living allowance for the next month. Take good care of my mother and sister." Looking at the money in my hand, my eyes widened. My own family of 6 didn't even spend 20 yuan in a whole month. Seeing my expression, Cole let out a mocking snort and walked out. I snapped out of it and hurriedly called after him, "Cole!" He turned back, frowning as if expecting me to say the money wasn't enough. Because of his years in the underground world, although he was handsome, his whole aura had a dangerous edge that made people feel he could explode at any moment. I stood up, took a small tube of ointment from my bridal belongings, and handed it to him. "It's the rainy season down south. It's easy to get skin inflammation. This will help." He paused, accepted the ointment, and stared at me with a complicated expression. "Anything else?" I nodded, then shook my head, gathering my courage to ask, "Can I use some of this money to buy books?" Having lived once already, I understood clearly that relying on a man was useless. I needed an education. I had always been a top student. If my mother hadn't forced me to quit school to support my younger brother, I might have been able to take the college entrance exam. Because I had always longed for education, in my previous life, I had been completely smitten with Andrew Turner, someone with a college degree. I never expected he'd turn out to be a pervert with terrible grades, whose degree was bought through connections, even stealing someone else's spot. Thinking about what happened after I married him in my previous life, I felt sick to my stomach. But to Cole, my reaction seemed to mean something else. His voice suddenly softened. "Fine. Do whatever you want." The next morning, I cleaned the house, prepared breakfast, then headed straight to the county town. I bought the entire set of high school textbooks at the bookstore. The shop owner was so happy he even gave me a copy of Don Quixote, telling me it was a newly imported, hard-to-find book. I forced out an awkward laugh, thinking, hard to find? More like they only ordered one copy and no one ever bought it. When I returned home, I found my mother-in-law sitting in the living room drinking water. I greeted her softly, "Mom?" She immediately blushed, her hands flustered, and she gave me a small nod before grabbing her cup to return to her room. But as she walked past me, she suddenly stopped and stared at the book in my hand, her eyes full of interest. Seeing the look in her eyes, I held out the copy of Don Quixote. "Do you like this book, Mom? You can have it." I simply wanted to build a friendly relationship. My mother-in-law was still family, so I hadn't expected that the moment I finished speaking, her eyes would suddenly turn red. A second later, she covered her mouth and burst into tears. I panicked, not knowing what I had done wrong, and before I could say anything, a sharp female voice screeched behind me. "What are you doing to my mom?" I turned around and saw a girl with shiny black hair and clothes that didn't fit standing by the doorway. I guessed she must be Cole Davenport's younger sister, Diana Davenport. Diana rushed forward and stood protectively in front of her mother, glaring daggers at me. "You filthy woman. Were you bullying my mom? I'm warning you, if you touch even one hair on her head, I'll have my brother throw you into the woods for the wolves." Before I could explain, my mother-in-law spoke up. "It's not because of her. I'm just moved." Both Diana and I widened our eyes. "Mom, you can talk?" Half an hour later, I finally learned that Cole's mother could actually speak. She only pretended to be mute because she didn't want to interact with people. According to her, she hated socializing and only loved reading. But ever since her husband went to prison, her children misunderstood her, and the villagers mocked and gossiped about her. She became more withdrawn and slowly stopped speaking altogether. And because she never left the house, she hadn't had a new book to read in years. Hearing this shocked me even more. In my previous life, Lily had complained many times that her mother-in-law had a mental problem. Every time she mentioned it, she'd brag, "That woman can't even talk. I make her pour tea and serve me. She's basically a free servant. I just need to give her a steamed bun a day." Only now did I realize how cruel my sister had been in that life. Cole's mother wasn't unaware she was being mistreated. She simply chose not to fight back. After hearing her story, both Diana and I felt a deep ache for the woman in front of us. I immediately asked my mother-in-law to write down a list of books she wanted to read. The next morning, I took Diana with me to the county town and bought a whole stack of books for her. On our way back, I noticed Diana acting strange. She kept staring at a male student inside the bookstore. As someone with experience, I could instantly tell what that look meant. I teased her, "What's wrong? Do you like him?" Diana's face turned bright red. "What's it to you? If I like him, I'll just go after him." That comment seemed to open a floodgate, and she suddenly snapped, "But he doesn't like me. He says I'm ugly." In my previous life, Lily had told me that Diana once had a crush on the top student in the county. After being rejected, she cried every day at home. Finding her annoying, Lily introduced her to some shady thug. Turned out he was a complete scumbag. He not only seduced Diana when she was still underage, but also stole everything the Davenport family owned. Because of that, Cole discovered all of Lily's wicked deeds and angrily divorced her. As I was remembering all of this, Diana stormed out of the bookstore in frustration. I hurried after her. "I can help you win him over." Her eyes widened. "Really?" I nodded. First, I took her to the public bathhouse to scrub clean. Then I bought her 2 new outfits to replace her dirty clothes. After that, I brought her to the barbershop for a fresh haircut. Staring at herself in the mirror, she looked like a completely different person. "Do you think he'll like me now?" I shook my head. "This is only the first step." "What's the second step?" I asked around at his school. "He's the top student in the entire grade. If you want him to like you, you'll have to be the top student too." Diana pouted. "I can't do it." I smirked. "I can help you." From that day on, my mother-in-law, my sister-in-law, and I began living together in a surprisingly warm and peaceful atmosphere. I bought books for my mother-in-law, she helped me with the housework and cooking, and every evening the 3 of us sat in the living room together, me tutoring Diana and my mother-in-law reading quietly beside us. When Cole returned home and saw that scene, he cleared his throat lightly. Diana immediately threw herself at him. "You're back! You're back!" Cole stared at her in disbelief. "What happened to you? How did you turn into this?" Diana grinned proudly. "It's all thanks to my sister-in-law." Cole lifted his head and looked at me. I blushed and slipped quietly back into my room. Not long after, he followed me in and said, "Thank you. I've heard everything these past few days. Thank you for taking care of my mother and my sister." I waved my hand. "We're already husband and wife. Your family is also my family. There's no need to thank me." Cole froze for a few seconds, then unexpectedly smiled. "Okay." From that day on, his attitude toward me slowly changed. From cold and distant, he gradually became more warm and approachable. Whenever he wasn't traveling for business, he always came home, and every time he returned from a long trip, he brought me small gifts. Slowly, our life began to resemble a real family. Only then did I realize that Cole wasn't as scary as people made him out to be. In fact, he could even be unexpectedly endearing sometimes. In the blink of an eye, it was time to visit my parents' home. I wore a beautiful new dress and carried several bags filled with gifts. As soon as I arrived, I ran into my sister Lily, who was also carrying 2 pounds of pastries. She looked careless and even a bit shabby. After the scandal on her wedding day, she and Andrew Turner never held a real ceremony. She glanced at Cole, who was standing beside me, then immediately lifted her chin arrogantly and strutted into the house. Unexpectedly, my mother completely ignored her and came straight toward us, taking the bags from my hands and greeting Cole warmly. Lily couldn't stand it anymore. "Mom, aren't you going to ask how Andrew is doing these days?" My mother reluctantly asked. "Oh, how is Andrew recently?" Lily puffed up her chest proudly. "Andrew just received a notice. He'll report to the county tomorrow. Mom, I just know it. Within 5 years, he'll definitely rise quickly. And when that happens, I'll be the wife of an official." But no one cared about what she said. Everyone simply continued asking Cole about his business trips down south. Annoyed, Lily suddenly shouted, "Lana!" I lifted my head to look at her. She seemed like she wanted to speak privately. "Let's go to the kitchen and cook." In my parents' house, the men never stepped foot in the kitchen. I followed her in. Just as I was about to start the fire, she leaned close to my ear and whispered, "It must be exhausting taking care of the Davenports. Your mother-in-law and sister-in-law aren't normal after all." I immediately knew she was trying to stir up trouble between me and my husband's family. I smiled calmly. "Not exhausting at all. My mother-in-law and sister-in-law are very considerate. They even help me cook and wash clothes. Especially my sister-in-law, she always shares anything good with me. I can sleep as late as I want. Unlike some people who have to get up at 5 in the morning to do all the chores." Lily's face instantly changed. Only someone who had lived in the Turners' household knew how miserable being their daughter-in-law was. Lily had to take care of Andrew's parents and his 2 younger brothers, and all the heavy, dirty chores landed on her shoulders. After just a few days, her hands had already begun to crack. She bit her lip and sneered. "I heard that right after the wedding night, Cole left to do business. Do you know why he likes going down south? Because there's someone in his group named Bella Chu, the woman he likes." My hand froze midair. Bella Chu, that was Cole's second wife in my previous life. When Cole went from a small-time businessman to a national tycoon, she was always at his side. Seeing my reaction, Lily continued. "Cole Davenport treated Bella Chu far better," Lily continued. "He took her everywhere he went. Every cent he made, he handed over for her to manage. You know what they say, where the money goes, the heart goes." My heart dropped, and I bit my lip. At that moment, the kitchen door swung open, and Cole stepped in with a cold expression. Lily immediately went silent. It seemed she didn't have a good impression of him, maybe even a bit of fear. I knew that in the previous life after their divorce, Cole had used a few harsh methods that scared her so much she never dared trouble her wealthy ex-husband again, no matter how miserable she was. Cole walked closer, leaned down beside Lily's ear, and whispered something in an icy tone. Lily's face turned ghostly pale, her fists clenching tight. "Cole Davenport, you're a bastard!" she shouted before bolting out of the kitchen. Stunned, I looked at him. What did you say to her?" Cole shrugged. "I told her if she keeps spouting nonsense, I'll cut her tongue out." I had no words. Right then, my mother called from outside, "Lana, stop cooking. Cole says he's taking the whole family out to eat at a restaurant." I answered her and stepped out, but Cole quickly walked up and grabbed my hand. "Do you believe what she said?" "Believe what?" I asked. "What she just told you." I shook my head. "Then why do you look upset?" I thought for a moment, then told him the truth. "Cole, if you really like Bella Chu, I can step aside." He looked completely baffled. "Why would you think that? There's nothing between me and Bella. I let her handle the money because she's good with numbers and she works in business. Besides her, there are plenty of others in the team. I don't like her. At all." He startled me. I had never heard him talk this much at once. We had lived together for a while already, but this was the first time he was this expressive. I nodded lightly and whispered, "If you ever do like her one day, I can divorce you. As long as you don't." I wanted to say, "Don't treat me like you treated my sister in the previous life," but I didn't get the chance. Warm lips pressed against mine. It lasted only a brief moment, but heat shot all the way to my ears. When he pulled away, Cole still looked stern. "I'll say it again. I don't like her. I like you." It felt like lightning struck my head. I couldn't tell if it was the kiss or the words "I like you" that made me dizzy. After that day, Cole started keeping his distance from Bella Chu. He withdrew all the money he had stored with her and handed it to me. I panicked, worried this would affect his path to becoming a wealthy businessman. I tried to persuade him, telling him not to complicate the finances and that Bella was good at managing money. But no matter what I said, he refused. He insisted that as a husband, he shouldn't let another woman manage his money. I remembered hearing news in my previous life. Around the time I died, real estate prices in the capital skyrocketed. So I took Diana to the capital, first to show her the top universities and second to use Cole's savings to buy a few properties. After we returned, I heard Cole had stopped doing business with Bella Chu altogether. I held my head in my hands and sighed. I remembered clearly that in the previous life, Cole became rich after opening a small garment factory. So I suggested he build one here in town and even introduced him to a well-known designer. I also advised him to invest in real estate. I knew it felt like cheating, but I didn't want to delay his brilliant future because of me. While Cole threw himself into establishing the garment factory, I immersed myself in preparing for the college entrance exam. When Diana entered her senior year of high school, I told Cole I wanted to return to school too. He fully supported me and encouraged me with all his heart. The only ones who objected were my own family. They said, "You're too old to study again." My family kept telling me, "Now that Cole is doing so well, you should have a child to keep his heart." Only then did I realize how difficult my sister's life in the Turner household truly was. The first year after she married Andrew was still acceptable. His family acted polite. But starting this year, they began pressuring her to have a child. When Andrew was transferred to work in the city, Lily wanted to go with him, but her in-laws didn't want to lose a free servant, so they stopped her. She cried every day, saying, "We barely even see each other. How am I supposed to get pregnant?" But the truth was, even if they saw each other, she still couldn't get pregnant because Andrew Turner was completely infertile. I ignored my family's advice. When Diana enrolled in school, I enrolled too. After a year of hard work, both Diana and I were accepted into a top university. After starting college, Diana even successfully pursued the boy she liked. She hugged me while crying and said, "Sister-in-law, if it weren't for you, I wouldn't have even dared to dream of this." A peaceful year of university passed. During that time, Cole struck at exactly the right opportunity. Within 1 year, he went from being a wealthy man in the village to becoming a major tycoon in the city. When summer break came, I hadn't even had a chance to see Cole before I ran into Lily. She stood at my doorway, and I almost didn't recognize her. Her entire body was skinny, her clothes ragged, and I could still see bruises all over her skin. Her eyes were full of fear. The once bright and beautiful girl had completely lost her vitality. Seeing her like this didn't surprise me. In my previous life, I had almost been beaten to death by Andrew Turner too. After discovering he was infertile, Andrew had lost all interest in marital intimacy. At work, he bowed and scraped to everyone, but once he returned home, he needed somewhere to vent his anger. With no outlet, he turned violent. He became addicted to beating his wife, finding sick pleasure in tormenting me. In the beginning, he'd pick fights and then hit me. Later, one glare was enough to make him grab whatever he could, sometimes a cup, sometimes a chair, and throw it at me. The moment Lily saw me, she grabbed my hand tightly and said something that stunned me. "Lana, you were reborn too, weren't you?" I forced myself to stay calm. "Reborn? What are you talking about? I don't understand." But she wouldn't let go. She dropped to her knees right in front of me. "I know you were. Otherwise, you wouldn't have agreed to marry Cole so easily, and you wouldn't have been able to come up with so many strategies for him. Please, sister, help me. Please save me." She only called me sister when she needed something. Even though we were twins, I was born a few minutes earlier, so I became the older sister. Our parents favored sons, so growing up, all we had was each other. I truly saw myself as her sister, always caring for her and enduring everything. Even in the previous life, when Andrew beat me nearly to death and Lily wanted a divorce, I dragged myself out of the hospital and knelt to beg Cole to help her. If not for me, with Cole's personality, he never would have let her off with just a warning. But I never imagined that the person I risked everything to save was the one who envied me so deeply she wanted me dead. Just because I visited her wearing a clean outfit, she secretly mixed her own blood and pesticide into my drink. Right before I died, Lily smiled brightly and said, "Lana, we're sisters. Why should you get to live well while I suffer? I won't accept it. If I have to die, then we die together." Thinking of that, my chest tightened again. "Lily," I said coldly, "I can't save you. Go ask someone else." "No, you can't leave me like this." She burst into tears, snot and tears smearing all over my clothes. Lily wiped her face and said, "Look at your life now. You live in a villa in the city, ride in a private car, wear designer clothes, your skin is better than before. All of that should have been mine. I was the one who gave it up for you. You stole my life, so you have to take responsibility for me. I couldn't hold back anymore. Stole your life? Do you even remember how you managed to marry Andrew Turner in the first place? She froze. Of course she remembered. She had secretly seduced him, drugged him, and trapped him in bed. Rumors in the countryside spread fast and could kill without a knife. Even though I had married Cole Davenport, that incident still became gossip about me. Countless people whispered behind my back and cursed me, even though I was also a victim. Why was it that whenever they scolded the two actual culprits, they dragged me into it too? Lily's tears stopped. She stared at me, speechless. I was about to kick her out when she suddenly grabbed me even tighter. Lana, I know you have a way to make him stop beating me. You have to tell me. If you don't, I'll expose Cole's dirty secrets. I stiffened. Expose what? According to Lily, in the early days of his business, Cole had smuggled illegal goods. If she reported it, he would definitely be arrested. I wasn't sure whether to believe her. If she truly had such a hold over Cole, why didn't she report him in our previous life, despite being beaten nearly to death? She said that when she divorced Cole, he had already cleaned up all traces of that incident. Thinking about the timeline, it sounded possible. Wanting to protect Cole from trouble, I sighed and told her, if you want to escape Andrew Turner, there's only one way. Go to the police and say you found a corpse buried under the peach tree in the Turner family yard. In my previous life, when I could no longer endure the beatings and wanted a divorce, I went to Andrew's workplace and discovered that everyone called him by a different name, Vincent Jang. That was when I learned Andrew hadn't passed college at all. His father had used his authority to let him impersonate someone named Vincent Jang for the entrance exams. Vincent Jang was a villager too, an orphan who had gone missing 3 years prior. Later, I accidentally overheard Andrew and his father talking. It turned out that in his 3rd year of college, Vincent Jang found out about the exam fraud and confronted them. They beat him to death and buried him under the peach tree in their yard. After learning the truth, I had wanted to report it to the police, but Andrew and his father found out. At that time, Andrew already held a high government position. Since I had appeared at his workplace, perhaps because he needed to maintain the image of a model husband, or for some other reason, from that day on he stopped hitting me. But he began monitoring me strictly. Wherever I went, he dragged me along. Even when he wasn't home, someone watched me. Seeing how desperate Lily was to escape Andrew Turner, I truly thought she would go to the police. But instead, she didn't just fail to report him, she told Andrew everything I had said. 2 days later, Lily came to me in a panic, saying our mother was sick and begged me to go to the hospital with her. I followed her into the car, but after a while, I realized we weren't heading toward the hospital. Aren't we going to the hospital? Where are you taking me? I asked. Lily turned back and whispered, I'm sorry. My heart tightened. What do you mean? The car stopped in front of a small, isolated shack in the suburbs. When I saw Andrew Turner step out of the house, everything became clear. I couldn't believe it. I stared at Lily. You didn't report him to the police? She pouted. If I did, he'd get arrested. I just don't want to get beaten anymore. I don't want to lose him, Lily said. You're insane. I never imagined my sister could be so twisted, so blinded by status and vanity that she would do something like this. Rage surged inside me. So you sold me out? Lily tried to act innocent. Didn't you tell me those things first? Don't worry, Andrew just wants to talk to you. I screamed. You actually believe that? He's killed someone before. Lily shrugged as if it didn't matter. Only then did I realize how terrifying she truly was. The door swung open. Even if I wanted to run, there was no escaping a grown man. I was dragged out of the car and forced into the old shack. Inside were all kinds of horrifying tools. Andrew Turner grabbed my face, his expression warped. How did you find out my secret? I trembled. I don't know anything. He gave a cold laugh. Doesn't matter how you knew, you're not leaving here alive. He tied me up, and despair washed over me so completely that I could hardly breathe. I silently cursed myself for being an idiot, betrayed by Lily in the last life, and yet I still believed her in this one. Tears streamed uncontrollably down my face. Just as Andrew raised the knife, Lily suddenly screamed outside. The door was kicked open. Several men rushed in and pinned Andrew to the ground. Cole stepped in, tall and backlit by the fading sunlight. The next moment I collapsed into his arms, trembling as I felt his warmth. I finally broke down, sobbing. Cole cupped my face, his expression pained as he looked at the injuries. His eyes were full of tenderness. "Lana, I'm late." I shook my head. "No, you came just in time." Behind us, Andrew screamed, "What are you doing? Do you know who I am? I work for the city." Before he could finish, Cole kicked him square in the stomach. Andrew wailed, tears streaming. "Cole Davenport, how dare you hit me, my father?" Cole grabbed him by the hair and slammed his head into the floor. "Your father what? The police went to your house and arrested him already." Andrew's eyes went wide. "What?" Cole narrowed his eyes. "You messed with the wrong person. You dared to lay a hand on my wife." Soon after, the police arrived. They must have found the body under the peach tree, and they were here to arrest him. Lily was arrested as well. Before getting in the police car, she suddenly went hysterical. She threw herself at Cole, clinging to his leg. "Cole, I'm the one who was supposed to marry you. I'm your real wife. Save me. I don't want to go to jail." Cole kicked her away, disgust twisting his face. "What nonsense are you spouting? I only have one wife, Lana. You were the one who broke off the engagement. But you liked me before. We never officially registered the marriage. I was wrong, okay? I won't do anything bad again. I'll take care of your mom and sister. Just choose me instead." She babbled like someone who'd lost her mind. Cole remained ice cold. "Get lost. Don't ever come near me again." In the end, Lily was taken away. Cole carried me to the car. He didn't say a word on the way home, his face dark with anger. When we arrived, I was about to step out when he suddenly lifted me into his arms. A few of his friends standing nearby let out teasing whistles. My face burned red, and I buried myself against his chest. A minute later, he set me down on the bed. He leaned over me but didn't touch me, just stared into my eyes, voice low and steady. "Lana, what exactly happened?" The moment Lily came to find me, I'd already sensed something was wrong. So I had asked Diana to look for Cole, report everything to the police, and tell him about the body buried beneath the peach tree at the Turner house. Cole had wide connections. With only a few inquiries, he learned that I had been seen getting into a car. He learned I had gotten into a car heading toward the mountains, so he chased after us immediately and managed to save me in time. But he still didn't understand how I knew that secret, or why my sister had said such strange things. With Cole's sharp instincts, I knew I couldn't hide anything from him, so I told him everything from beginning to end. By the time I finished, I felt a little guilty. I don't know if you believe me or not, but I really have lived 2 lives. Everything feels like a dream. Before I could say more, he pulled me tightly into his arms. I felt his body trembling. I gently rubbed his back. "What's wrong? How could she hurt you twice like that?" he said, his voice shaking. Only then did I realize he was angry because Lily had hurt me. I let out a soft sigh. I don't know why she became this way either. When we were little, she was so sweet. She always shared good food with me. People say twins have a special connection. I used to believe that. Whenever I got sick, she'd feel unwell too. When I bumped my leg, she'd grab her leg and say, "Lana, it feels like my leg is breaking." Because of moments like that, I told her my secret. Cole's eyes softened with sadness as if something had just clicked. "So in the previous life, did I treat you badly too?" "It's not that you treated me badly," I said gently. "In the last life, we were basically strangers. You not being good to me was normal." I reached up to pat his head. For some reason, he felt like a big, obedient dog at that moment. He sighed. "I just don't know if staying with you in this life means I'll still become a national tycoon." I only meant it as a joke. I didn't expect him to lower his head and press a kiss on my hand. "I'll do my best," he whispered. "Don't worry. Anyone who hurt you, I won't let them go." Then he tapped my forehead lightly. "You're overthinking. I'm a law-abiding citizen." I finally relaxed. As long as nothing happened to him, everything would be fine. Less than 2 months later, news came from the prison. Andrew Turner was dead. The official reason was that he slipped and hit his head. But the truth was, he had made too many enemies and was beaten to death by a group of inmates. I asked Cole if he had anything to do with it. He chuckled and shook his head. "I'm a law-abiding citizen. I just visited a few old brothers before he went in. I had once heard that one of Cole's friends had been imprisoned for manslaughter, and back then, prison management wasn't strict. Deaths from beatings weren't unusual. Since Lily hadn't participated in the murder itself, she received a light sentence, but she still suffered greatly in the detention center. By the time she was released, her mind was completely unstable. Sometimes she insisted she was the wife of a tycoon. Other times she claimed she was the mayor's wife. Her family realized something was wrong and sent her to a psychiatric hospital. She asked for me, but I pretended not to know. A few days later, she jumped from the building and killed herself. They said right before she died, she kept repeating one sentence, "Then let's start over again." Life finally became peaceful and stable. Diana and I graduated from college. After careful consideration, I decided to continue studying for a master's degree and then a doctorate. Cole said he supported me and even dressed up nicely to take me to school for registration. By my second year of grad school, Cole had officially entered the ranks of national tycoons, and I was pregnant. Diana and her husband both became government employees, and their careers were thriving. The most surprising thing was my mother-in-law. At 50 years old, she published a novel and became an author. My life was still as dazzling as before, but compared to the previous one, it was so much happier.